Good day, folks. This is Greg Judy, Green Pasture Farm. This is Series 3 Jan and I are doing on questions and comments from you folks, our YouTubers that bring up these questions. And Jan sat down and wrote down a bunch of y'all's questions. And so this is another series.
Yeah.
What's up, Jan?
Well, so one of the questions, and these are all questions that you have answered, but you don't remember answering some of them. But it's good to bring these up because a lot of people don't go back and read what you write.
Exactly.
So what is the protein of fescue and how much can cows eat?
Okay, so believe it or not, cows can only take 40,000 bites a day. That's it, 40,000. That's as much as they can take. So what you're trying to do as a grazer is not make them take 40,000 bites. So if you'll leave a taller sward, when they reach in with their tongue and pull off these bites of grass, the less bites they have to take, the less energy they use. They fill up quicker, they lay down, and they go ruminate. What are they doing when they're ruminating? They're putting weight on. They're putting weight on. That's what you're trying to do, is get weight on those animals. So if you have a really short pasture, they may take that 40,000 bites. They still may not be full. Just remember that. The protein on fescue in the wintertime, that's a great question. This morning I went over and did the bowls, and my manure pats were absolutely perfect. And the fescue was brown. It's got a little bit of green down the bottom, and those bulls and steers are picking out that fescue, and they were getting brown in every bite. And Jan, the manure pats were perfect.
And I know what that means, but what does that mean?
Perfect manure pat's 1.5 inches to 2 inches tall. If you get a real thin one, it's going to be runny. They're getting too much protein, or they got parasites.
Or they get starting to stack
or
up.
too much clover. You get too much clover, way too much protein. If it's stacked up, 4 or 6 inches tall, you better do something about that. Your cows can be full of whatever you got out there in that pasture, and they're not getting what they need. And there's been people that have lost cattle. They took them to the university, had them cut open to see what caused it. They had a full belly of straw, broom sedge, stuff that wouldn't keep a rabbit alive. Watch your manure pats, folks. I'm serious. That's in the winter is especially important, because if they're not getting enough protein and energy in that forage, they're going to die, or they're not going to perform. They're going to get thin on you, and you don't want that. So fescue, if a cow can get 7%, that's more than enough to keep that cow even, and she might even be gaining a little bit of weight in the wintertime.
It depends what kind of winter you get.
That's right. So learn to trust your cows, read the manure pies, and trust fescue. I know it's fescue. People curse it. We got to get rid of that stuff. Nope. There's no other grass in mid-Missouri we make more money with. And that's because it'll winter a cow or a bull, whatever you got. It'll winter them. Heck, our sheep are eating it today. Darn sheep are eating fescue. They're fat as pigs. Why are we trying to kill this stuff for? Get rid of the animals that can't handle fescue and move on. That's what I say.
Well, then someone wanted to know, can Texas grow fescue? What do and don't they have a Bahia and?
Yeah, Texas is in Bahia, Bermuda grass. I know folks down there, what some of them do is they actually have to drill in like cereal rye or some kind of ryegrass. That Bermuda grass down there, it's not the best winter forage. I've seen cows so thin, it looks like you could push them over. They're that bad a shape. Folks, there is a fescue. I'm glad you brought this up. Y'all can find, I wish I had the name of it. Anyway, it was developed by the Lloyd Noble Foundation there in Oklahoma for western Oklahoma ranchers, and it probably worked in parts of Texas. If you type in Lloyd Noble Foundation,
there's a lot of information.
Fescue, the fescue developed by Lloyd Noble Foundation, you'll get it. You'll get a hit on it. And that fescue is adapted more for the heat than what, let's say, an eastern fescue would be, like Kentucky 31. If I was down there, I'd be checking that stuff out. Don't go out and till your whole farm up with it, but maybe try an acre or two of it and see what it does in your environment. If that stuff would grow and stay green in the wintertime for you, whoo, you talk about a big money saver. That's huge.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Okay. Love the concept of stockpile. What is the daily gain on stockpile with no hay? Because of time and money, and of no grains um, uh, are being made, uh, what is there to be gaining on stockpile?
Yeah, so that's a good question. Folks, the biggest, largest amount of money saved in a livestock grazing operation in the dormant season when there's nothing else growing. It's too cold. This morning it was 10 degrees out there. Yesterday morning it was 1 degree. You're not going to grow anything. So whatever you grow in the growing season in the fall, and it's out there in your pasture over the wintertime, like right now, that's called stockpile. And if you'll learn to manage your grazing better in the growing season, you'll have some of this every year. I don't care what the weather does. The worst drought in Missouri history was 2012. And we got hit. It was a bad one. There was corn that was planted that spring by some of the crop farmers east of us here that never saw rain. It never came. It came up. It never got tall enough to put on any ears. It was that bad. That fall, we still grew a good stockpile. So, yeah, it's wonderful stuff. Fescue, you got to have it. You got to have some fescue. We do have some orchard grass in our stockpile. There's a little bit of clover out there, but the animals harvest it where it was grown. That is the biggest advantage of it. You don't have to mow it, rake it, bale it, haul it in, haul it back out. It's out there. You just move a wire. That's all you're doing, moving a poly wire. And the cattle do all the work for you. So it's a huge time saver. It's a huge money saver. And you don't have to fertilize to get it. You do need to learn to manage your grazing. If you're coming around every 20 days or you're giving them the whole farm, you're not rotating, you're not going to have any stockpile. Your whole farm's going to look like a putting green. And unfortunately, that's what we have over a lot of the United States. These big farms. I just drove down to West Plains 2 weeks ago. I spoke at the South Bowl Field Day. My gosh, some of the pastures I saw, it was awful. It was just awful. There weren't any subdivisions. They're grazing the whole stinking farm as one. You can't grow any grass like that. Oh, there's no money in the cattle business. Well, you're right. Not when you do it like that. You're not taking care of your grass. You got to take care of your grass. That's what you are. You're in the solar collection business, and then your whole farm looks like a putting green. You're not growing any grass, and you're not growing any stockpile. So, yeah.
So another thing, part of this question is daily gain on stockpile. Are we really worried about
No.
daily gains in the wintertime?
No.
Should we even be worried about that?
If you're a stalker grazer and you're trying to finish grass-finished beef and all you've got is steers, you need to look at the hay you're feeding. You're going to be probably feeding some hay. Maybe you got some cover crops that you can put out. You are more interested in getting some gain. You don't want them losing weight. But on a cow-calf operation, you're trying to keep them even. And in our situation, we still have the calves on the cows. We're probably one of the few farms that do that, probably in the whole central United States. We let the cows wean the calves. So we put pressure on our cows. But when we have some of the best cows probably around because they can do that now. We've got rid of the ones that couldn't do that.
They're adapted.
They're adapted to our management. We set the standard, and the animals that couldn't meet our standards are gone. So, yeah. Jan, thanks for those questions. I think we're at our time limit here. Keep it nice, sweet, and short. Folks, if you all new to the channel, hit that subscribe button on the way out. We'd appreciate it. And check out our grazing school coming up in May. That's going to be with Ian, myself, and then Abram and I. You can go to greenpasturesfarm.net and check that out. Hope to see some of y'all here at the farm. It's held right here. And we do classrooms and we do pasture walks each day, and you're going to go home with a ton of knowledge. We'll see ya. Take care.